Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me at benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcast because People of Distinction is a nationally and internationally syndicated show because of listeners like you. Our shows are available across all major podcast distributors as well as YouTube. And if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. We appreciate the support. Continue to like and follow and sit back and strap in because on the line with us today, we have MJ Yandle. We're going to be discussing her amazing book, The Riverndish. It's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. You're going to want to add this book to your shelf, and I'm going to tell you why you need to do that in just a moment. Before we go any further, though, I want to take this opportunity and point out that Melissa was brought to our network, People of Distinction, by one of the best advertising firms in the business, people you already know. I'm talking about Author Reputation Press. So for my writers out there who have written their book and now you need help moving the book you just developed, well, if that's you, contact ARP. They're one of the best in the business to do it, and this is exactly what they specialize in. All you have to do is head on over to authorreputationpress.com today and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Melissa here on the line. People, I'm telling you, brace yourself for a heartwarming and inspiring show today, okay? This is going to be delightful because we're covering her children's book that is filled with hope, positivity, and covers the underlying theme of never giving up on your dreams. Hey, listen, I could sit there and just talk the entire show about that. Because how many of us can relate? How many of us, when we were growing up, we had these dreams, these thoughts, these aspirations for whatever it was. And through fear of rejection, through the hardships of everyday adulting, or whatever the case may be, we were diverted. We went along a different path because we have responsibilities as adults. This book is going to speak to that inner child. It's going to take you back, and it's one that your children are going to bask in. I'm telling you, the underlying messages here of perseverance and hope is something special, something you're going to be able to take to the bank, and something that is going to uplift you, all right? And at the end of the day, Melissa is the expert. It's her book. She's written it. She's going to be able to discuss everything much better than I ever could, but sit back and strap in for this wonderful journey. Melissa, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Melissa, it's a pleasure to have you here, okay? I really do mean that. I think your book is delightful for so many reasons. As a parent myself, what a book of this magnitude can do for my children, I love. But also, as I mentioned in the intro, it speaks to that inner child in all of us that we all can relate to, and for one reason or another, have stopped listening to. And that voice inside of us has just begun, or maybe not begun, has gotten more and more faint over the years. This is one that's going to speak to all of us. I love it. I love what it represents and what it symbolizes. Before we jump into the book, Melissa, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
Okay, I'm actually originally from Missouri. I moved to the West Coast in 1998. That company, I moved on, and I went back to school and became a medical assistant and earned a medical assisting degree. And I've been a medical assistant for about 11 years now. And I originally started in family practice, and then I went to pediatric primary care, and now I'm in pediatric specialty care. So quite a bit of a change from each specialty.
Yeah. Well, listen, this wasn't initially where I wanted to go, but you got to connect the dots for me, Melissa. Your background, of course, is in the medical field. Now, I'm sure there's writing that's involved. My wife is in the medical profession herself. So I know when it comes to the labs and the different reports that you're filling, there's obviously a lot of writing that goes into it. But creative writing is something different entirely. Connect the dots for us. What inspired you to embark upon this journey and write a children's narrative?
Well, I've always liked to write short stories and poems and stuff, and it's always just kind of been a hobby of mine.
Hmm.
But this particular story came from a very strange dream that I had one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I wrote down what I could remember of the dream. And when I woke up the next day, I kind of looked at what I wrote down, and I was like, I'm going to write a story about this. That's how I came up with the idea.
There you have it. Thank you very much for expressing that. Without further ado, your book is called The Riverndish. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, it's about a fictional character that lives on a hidden planet that no one knows about. And this character grants wishes for everyone on planet Earth. And the story takes everyone on an adventure of how the wishes are granted and explains why sometimes it takes a little bit longer for wishes to come true.
Love that. I want to meet that character and grant some wishes here for me. That's fantastic. I love the title because there's something it's different. It's unique. It stops you in your tracks and it really makes you ponder. So I'm curious, what inspired that particular title and explain the connection that it has to the actual narrative?
Well, it had to be a really unique name. I came up with, well, it took me a while to come up with the name. And I played around with a few, but it had to be just something very unique. So I ended up coming up with the Riverndish.
Melissa, I know that the book covers a lot of themes, but of course, two of which is, hope and determination. That is very apparent and it carries throughout, which I love. But talk to us from a creation standpoint. Are there specific characters in your story that embody that message of hope and determination? And if so, what inspired their creation?
Well, actually, there's a few characters that inspired it, like the small child that was wanting the wish to come true, that felt a little heartbreak when lost a family member. And then, of course, the characters on the planet where the Riverndish lives that made them want to nurture and protect them as well because they were so very special.
Mm-hmm. In what ways do you think that children can benefit from reading stories that encourage them to pursue their dreams and stay optimistic in the face of challenges?
Well, I hope that it inspires them not to ever give up, regardless of what is happening around them. I hope that it really inspires them to just continue on, never give up on that wish.
Yeah. There you have it. People, I'm telling you, the book is called The Riverndish. You're going to have to head on over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and pick up your copies. It's by the impressive MJ Yandle. This is one you need to add to your shelf. This is one you need to get as a gift for someone else to add to theirs because your children are going to love it. And you as the parents are going to be able to take things from it as well. I promise you that. Curiosity here for myself with this next one, Melissa, but what would you say was a highlight for you in this process throughout the entirety of it, right? From the initial spark or inspiration that you mentioned, it came to you in a dream, right? So that was really the precipice that ignited this journey. But what was the highlight for you from creation to the actual completion? What would you say that was?
Well, a lot of people may not know this, but when I was writing it, I didn't know what the wish was going to be. And so I had a beginning and a middle, but I didn't have an end. And I just, the more I wrote and the more I continued with the adventure, I finally came up with the wish that I chose. So it was actually kind of an inside joke between me and my husband because we both like to cook. So it was always competition in the kitchen. And that's kind of how I came up with the wish.
There you have it. Melissa, if you could enter the world of your book and you were able to choose any particular page to land on and actually live in and fully experience, which page would you choose to land on and why?
I would say the page where the wish is granted and the delightful feeling of it happening.
Yeah. Listen, I can resonate with that one. All right. I mean, I think we all, again, this is one of those things where your book carries a lot of weight, and it's a wonderful and fun journey for children to embark upon. But as I mentioned before, this is something that a lot of adults, I think, can benefit from as well, in terms of just speaking to that inner child, allowing your imagination to run wild and experience this foreign world. And I think so often through just the day-to-day pressures, we're robbed of that experience. And I think this is something that truly is a gift for a lot of reasons, but for that one especially, because we've all been there when we wish, like whether it was a genie, whether, it's another fictional character or God or some higher force. A lot of times we all have those desires, those wishes that we wish would be, no pun intended, that we wish would be answered, right? And gifted to us. So this is something that plays into that desire that we can all relate to. I love it. Melissa, as we close out of here, having this platform, as an artist myself, I always look to ways where we can pay it forward. Well, you're someone that has written this magnificent book, and hopefully much, much more on the horizon, but you've gone through the gauntlet of not only writing the book, but getting it published as well. So that means you have wisdom and experience to be able to impart. What advice could you offer to new writers out there listening in?
Well, it's been a huge learning process for me as well. And it's always good to do the research about what company you choose to go with.
Yeah.
And it's always okay to ask questions. Make sure that they have your best interests at heart, because this is your creation.
Absolutely. Listen, that's great advice for writers, but people, that's great advice for just life in general. I don't care what it is. Okay, you can be a banker and it's still great, right? I look at it as just from a relationship standpoint, right? I mean, I guess I'm seasoned now, but I wasn't always, right? And I remember being young, and just with regards, again, to relationships and not having that effective communication and assuming certain things. People, how many of us have been there where we assume something, we don't take the time to ask the questions for whatever reason? And then we end up putting ourselves in a position where we're not happy, right? Where we're actually dissatisfied with the outcome. Great advice, something you can take and run to the bank with. I'm telling you, people, this book is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm going to say it again. It's called The Riverndish. It's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. And you have MJ Yandle to thank for all of this. Be on the lookout, people, because this is what I want you all to do. By the overwhelming show of support on the purchasing of this book, that's going to be the message to Melissa that, hey, we need more, okay? We want more. We're yearning for it, and this is something we really do need. It starts with this book. Head on over there today, pick up your copies. Melissa, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute delight. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thanks for having me.